What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Klepcx FM, brought to you by CritiX.com, place where we talk about movies, television, and pop culture. And if you're into that kind of thing, please make sure you hit that subscribe key and that notification bell so you can be up to speed about everything that we talk about here. Guys and girls, you know what time it is. Today's that day. Episode 6, The Strength to Smile. Episode 6 of Bel-Air has just aired today on Peacock. And of course, in good fashion, every week we do this live spoiler reaction. And I come to you and I come through with my friends and we sit and we discuss and break things down. So without further ado, I want to introduce a real long time friend who is so passionate about the arts, the movies, television, just like I am. We always discuss things in the background. Every time something comes out, he checks with me. He's like, hey, you see this? What'd you think? Even on Twitter, we go back and forth with things. So without further ado, I got to introduce my homeboy, my family, my man, Gene Clemens. We know him better as AK. What's up, brother?
Shout out to the fam once again. We're in the building, man. Thank you for having me. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, listen, and I brought a new set in. I brought a new look. I don't know if you guys noticed the thing around me. I'm changing things up because I'm getting ready to switch from this platform to a new platform as we get a little bit more professional in this space. So we got to talk about Bel-Air, brother. Me and you, I asked you, I said, are you up to speed on this? And you were like, yo, without a question.
For sure.
So
absolutely.
So I want, before we jump into this new episode, because this new episode is wow, right? I need to know where are you at with this show? Like, what do you think about it so far?
So I tell you, like, I came at it from two perspectives. Mm-hmm. I came at it from I've always had a curiosity what the Fresh Prince would be if it wasn't a comedy. Okay. And so from that standpoint, I was always extremely curious about if somebody was able to make a treatment that worked for a drama instead of a comedy. You know, how do those relationships work? But then I was also afraid because I felt like if you do too much, it ends up just being like every other hokey, like high school, you know, rich people, poor people kind of, you know, collision of two worlds type of show that we've seen done over and over and over again. And I didn't want it to just reduce to that lowest common denominator. I wanted to see some levels of advancement. So I've been impressed by this part. I like the fact that this is a black family, but not just a black family, but this is a black family. You know what I'm saying? Those who know, like this, you know, you can tell by looking at Phil, he's of Nigerian descent. You can tell by looking at Carlton, he's of Nigerian descent, you know, or somewhere close in there. So you're looking at those guys. Actually, when you look at the entire family, you see black people. Will is the only one who kind of looks like the outsider. He almost looks like he doesn't fit in, but for the opposite reason of what we think he actually doesn't fit in for. Because as we know in black communities, a lot of times when the skin tone is lighter, there's a division there as well. And so looking at the juxtaposition of the hood dude being the light-skinned dude with the dark-skinned people being the rich affluent who've made this come up, that's something that I really like. I love Jeffrey, by the way.
Yeah.
The role Jeffrey's in is the G-ish. Like, I think that they smashed that with what they're doing with Jeffrey and how they haven't peeled back all the layers of Jeffrey. But you know Jeffrey's not just the house manager. Like, Jeffrey's a boss.
He's something else.
He's something different. He's something different. And so I like that. I don't kind of like the way it's kind of played out early on. I think they took some low-hanging fruit with Will falling for Carlton's old work. You know, I thought that was a little bit like how she's still so. But I think this 6th episode, we're starting to see the layers peel off. We're starting to see the vulnerabilities. We're starting to see that everything, you know, even when we've seen stuff and we were like, yo, that's not, you could tell things aren't completely right. You're starting to see a couple things unravel that can let this thing go left or go right, depending upon, you know, what happens, depending upon those what ifs that we talk about all the time.
And that's exactly the point that I was trying to make when I was talking about episode 5. How episode 5 was my least favorite episode from all the episodes that I've seen, and I've seen all the way from 1 to 8 to date right now. And 5 for me was just a disconnect. But then when I got into 6, it pulled it back together. It was like the rubber band was being stretched just to see what they could get away with.
Episode 5 was Batman Begins.
Yeah,
Episode 5 was Batman Begins. You had to have a Batman to get Begins to get a Dark Knight.
Yeah,
you can't get the Dark Knight without a Batman Begins.
And I got to tell you, starting with episode 6, without getting ahead of ourselves, because we're going to be talking about this thing week to week, when 6 hits, from 6 so far to where I am now, it's pleasant. It's pleasant. And 6, let's talk about 6 right now. Let's get into The Strength to Smile, which primarily for me felt like it was like a bounce back episode. Like you said, you had the Batman Begins, like the origin, from 1 up until 5 was a lot of chaos, a lot of introduction, a lot of drama, a lot of setups. And then 6 kind of figures out what it is and kind of smooths it out with some more drama, of course, but now it's kind of structured in a way. So like we see Will struggling with, the chaos with him and his best friend, Trey. They had a falling out. This is probably like the first episode that kind of begins with the repercussions of the last episode. Because I kind of felt like we didn't get a lot of that in the earlier episodes. Kind of felt like it was, it happened, cut, then the next episode starts and it's like something else. Like we still have yet to revisit the Jeffrey Rashad situation, if that is a situation, because it's just kind of like it happened and they haven't brought it up yet. We're 6 episodes in and we haven't heard anything.
I think that speaks to how good Jeffrey is at his job, right?
It's scary.
It's scary. He says jump, people start getting their kicks on. Like it's not a situation where there's loose ends. I think Jeffrey said something. I think this was in episode 4 where he talks to he's talking to Ashley. He says, I wouldn't be very good at my job if I let a 14-year-old or 11-year-old outsmart me. Excuse me.
Facts.
And so it's like he knows what's going on even when we don't really understand that he's on the post. But that's his job. His job is to act independently of Phil so that Phil doesn't have to do the things that he knows probably has to be done.
He's a fixer. He's a cleaner.
Yeah, he's the guy. And I like the fact that we're getting this to say, listen, nobody gets to where you are at this level clean. Nobody gets there clean. Nobody, in order to get to the point where you can help, you got to be able to get a little bit dirty. Jay-Z has a line, I can't help the poor if I'm one of them, so I got rich and gave back. To me, that's the win-win.
You preaching over this guy preaching. He's coming on my show preaching.
hey, listen. When I tell you when you have to make a show, and this is what I like about what Will Smith and what Metal Art does. When you make a show and you put your name behind it and it's supposed to be iconic, you can't just do what everybody expects you to do. You have to take it to another level. These are dramas that we're getting in white America necessarily that we've enjoyed and loved forever. We're just now getting it with black faces on it, and the writing is matching the level of a Succession or the level of a West Wing. It's not just low-hanging fruit. Let's just write this because this is an easy joke or an easy storyline that fits into black culture. This is the next evolution. It's what we know is out there already, but we haven't really seen a lot on television.
Yeah. So let's talk about that writing structure, because we're seeing a lot of character development in 6. Like now we're kind of getting into the character development. Let's talk about Hillary and on her journey, which I found very interesting because Hillary is the one that's keeping this thing relevant as of today's culture, today's what's the words I'm looking for? Like today's time period. Being an influencer, being a part of social media, being in that business, because it is a business, and they're using Hillary to show that side of the internet, and it's its level of growth and its level of corruption, or so to speak, in the struggles and the hard work behind it, because there's a lot of hard work. I have a lot of influencer friends who are deep into the business, like
Absolutely.
5
As I
million
do.
plus, 5 million
Sure.
followers plus. That comes with a cost. That comes with things that people wouldn't expect. They think it's like you turn the camera on, you become a TikTok sensation, and all of a sudden life is grand and you're making all this money. No, the internet is the new music industry, so to speak.
Yep.
And they're using that. What do you think about what they're doing with Hillary and that, those pressures and the influencer stuff that they're showing her dealing with? Like, she's trying to juggle regular life, but she's got to make deadlines now and things like that. How do you feel that's being reflected in the series?
I think it's interesting because you see her now understanding that everything she thought she was bucking by trying to like make her own lane, she's running into all of the stuff that her mother had been talking about with her. Like, hey, you've got to jump on it. You've got to make these connections. You've got to be able to take the bull by the horns when you get the opportunity. You can't burn bridges. You can't, all of that, all of the things that
that's right.
All of the stuff. And if you look at the culture that we live in today's society, a lot of these young influencers, they just think that it's just, or these I should say, the young influencers or that want to be influencers, they just think I just turn a camera on and I start talking. They don't understand that the best ones, the ones that do this, the ones that make millions, these are scripts. These are written and meticulously gone over with teams and entire camera crews. This isn't just your homeboy holding the iPhone while you're putting these things together. It's a lot more to that. There's deadlines that go with it as well.
With saying that, like, it can start that way. Like, don't get us wrong. Like, there's always success stories. During the pandemic, there were a lot of breakout stars during the pandemic who 24 hours before COVID were nobodies. And then all of a sudden, everybody's sitting in their house a week later, 2 weeks later, they're looking at 25 million followers and like a whirlwind of changes.
They know what to do with. Absolutely.
Listen.
But think about Hillary with the cameras in the flowers. The cameras hidden in the flowers so that nobody feels pressure to talk and just be themselves. All of the content that came out of that, the content that Uncle Phil that was used to kind of boost Uncle Phil and make him feel more human, but also the same type of content that could come back and bite somebody in the ASS when it's time to, reveal what's going on. Who knows if the conversation between Carlton and Trey is on camera? Is that something that we could see going forward? I was surprised that didn't come back out in 6 when Hillary was pressed to give them something to go viral on.
But that's the thing, and that's the thing that the show annoys me with, is that there's so much going on and so much happening. And like I said, I can't speak to future episodes. I can't speak to future seasons. I can only speak to the episodes that I've seen to date, and without giving things away. But like, there are a lot of tidbits and references that don't ever get brought up ever again. You make a really good point, because there was a conversation that got picked up with Phil and the influencer guy from the house. I forget his name, Kylo, something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
But yeah, there was so much going on at that table. I'm pretty sure there is a video out there between, of Carlton talking to Trey about Will and his story. Like, it has to be. But I want to jump forward and talk about the backbone of this episode, because it's not just about the Banks family. This episode primarily focuses around Lisa, and her trauma, loss of her mom, dealing with a new stepmom who's like, AKA the mistress, who we find out later on in the show. Yeah. I'm gonna tell you, I wasn't a fan of the fact that Lisa was there from jump, because it was just too soon from what we know of the original. But I gotta tell you, I'm kind of enjoying her being around right now, because I feel like she adds a dynamic to the Banks family that kind of makes this thing feel a little more human. What do you think?
So I'm torn on Lisa, right? Because in one respect, I understand her struggle living in this life where she was Will before Will. She was the outsider that had to come into a Bel-Air where she doesn't come from money, and she's not, the silver spoon, and everybody reminds her of it. She said that in the first episode. Yeah. And everybody reminds her of it. I don't like how fast Will fell for her. I don't like the speed in which things happen.
Oh, too fast.
It was way too fast. I found myself doing something that I rarely like to do, which is to go, what makes her special?
Yeah.
And so like, it's something that I don't like to do in real life. I don't like to judge. You love who you love, you like who you like. But I found myself asking, why is she so special? Like, why is Carlton having a nervous breakdown because of this, situation? If Carlton's the man at Bel-Air and this is his old work, why is he having such a mental breakdown over it?
Well, Carlton's thing. Hold on, I want to give some shout outs to some guys that are in the building right now. Shout out to my man William. He's always showing love. He was here with us last week. He's here with us again. I see you, man. You helping us out with the information. This guy knows everything. He's breaking things down when we forget. Shout out to What the Funk Is This? Shout out to, he's from Germany, new subscriber. I appreciate the love. And I got to give a shout out to Sonny Jack Napier, who was here with us last week as well. We share the same last name. I don't know if that's his real last name, but that's my real last name. So shout out to my man, Sonny Jack Napier, aka
shout
the
out
Joker.
to Sonny Jack. I like it.
But back to Carlton, man. Carlton's dealing with a lot of trauma revolving around the fact that he has to fit in. He feels as though he needs to fit in. So I think having the girl, having the friends, having the popularity, and then it all just kind of crumbling down because of his self traumas and drug use, and then his cousin comes in and he's like the coolest cat in the building. I think a lot of that plays a part in what's going on with Carlton. I don't think it's necessarily that he's upset that Will snatched Lisa. I don't think Lisa she was more of a prize. You know what I mean? And you got to think about it. Eternally, how does that feel as a black man to be surrounded by all these white people and you bag the one of the blackest girls, and then all of a sudden she slips through your fingers because you did some dumb shit. So now you're left with, you know what I mean? Now you're left with, I think she probably solidified who he really wants to be. You know what I mean? Like he wants to be with a sister. It makes him feel more of who he is not being accepted as. And then when he doesn't have her, it makes things worse.
See, I look at it from the opposite perspective, because I think that Carlton is the guy who wants to be white. Like, he is the dramatic version of what the comedic Carlton was. The comedic Carlton was the Carlton that wanted to be a white guy.
I don't think
he did all the hokey white guy. This Carlton to me feels like the black guy who wants to disassociate from anything black. Anything that is culturally black, maybe not, but anything that is stereotypically black, I think he wants to disassociate himself, and he's willing to go to any lengths to fit in with this crowd that he considers to be his friends, which we've already kind of figured out, probably not his friends.
I don't, and see, I have an unfair advantage here because I'm trying,
You've seen beyond.
Yeah, but like what I want to say doesn't have anything to do with what I saw, because they don't really tell you this. But I don't think he wants to be white. I just think he's trying to do the best that he can to not be the outsider.
Gotcha. So you think it's more just about fitting in than it is about wanting to be white.
I think, and like I said, this is not alluded to. This is not This is not a spoiler. This is not anything that they tell you up front. But just from episode 6, I feel and just everything that we've seen, I don't, because you can see it in the beginning. This struggle with the way that his friend Connor treats him and treats Will, and he's not okay. He just doesn't want to ruffle the feathers. He doesn't want to shake the cage. That's why he's like so hard on Will. He's hard on Will. Like, listen, you need to shut your mouth up and follow suit, because I don't want motherfuckers looking at me like I'm a hood ghetto motherfucker.
Okay, I can rock with you with that then. So then from the outside looking in, it makes him look like an Uncle Tom.
Yes.
So that's maybe that's written. And I'm gonna do everything that I can to give writers credit, right? So I'm gonna say it's written to have that duality. Where internally this is me struggling to just fit in and try to make the best life I can with what I've been given, but externally it looks like I'm trying to be white.
Yes.
So I can rock with that, but again, and it's not for anything, but I would have loved to have seen. We're six episodes in, and while Will has made an impression in the house, you know, he's shown worth and value in the house. I'm really interested in the fact of the dynamic of, we haven't really seen him become that dude outside of the house, like at school, outside of the basketball game, which, by the way, they could have done a better job with basketball.
They could have waited.
The basketball scenes are absolutely terrible. I'm gonna keep a buck.
This is coming from a coach.
Yeah, but this is coming from a guy who would love to one day make a movie or a show that has sports included. And I think anytime you add sports in, you have to do it justice. You have to make it look real. If Will Smith is a top level basketball player in the country, then you gotta have him look like a top level basketball player in the country. You can't have him out here like just doing random layups that look cute but don't actually look like real basketball stuff, or have the really awful cutaway where he jumps up like he's going to lay it up, but then they cut and all of a sudden it's a windmill dunk. And you're like, wait a minute, that clearly wasn't Will that just windmill dunked it. Y'all got to do me better than that. So that's one of my negatives on the show. But I'm surprised we haven't seen more of his dynamic outside of winning over the people that Carlton haven't been able to win over.
Yeah, and that was my argument last week when I was talking to my guy Mayhem. We were talking about how the show just feels, the season just feels rushed because they're moving as though they only have 2 seasons to work with. And I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I want to say that, like, I much rather would have had season 1 be all about Will's struggle trying to fit in. And then we got to the whole family stuff and peeling back the onion, and, you know, give us a little bit of everybody, you know, throughout the season, but make it primarily about one character. There's a lot of characters getting shine throughout the season, and they're just kind of taking older things and throwing it in here that we're familiar with to try to make it look good. But I don't want to spend too much time on that because we talked about it before. I want to talk more about Lisa and her dynamic, and them. They're doing this fundraiser for her mother. They're getting ready for it. And then we start seeing, you know, things about Aunt Viv coming forth. A lot of things about Aunt Viv.
It's a lot of Viv. It's a lot of Viv in this.
Good things, weird things, bad things, and things that set up future episodes. I will tell you that. One thing that stood out to me was there was a moment in the kitchen when Hillary and Ash were talking, and Ashley, being the baby, of course, she doesn't really know what's been going on throughout the family history, but she knows that shit ain't right.
Yep.
And she asked Hillary a question about what's going on between Aunt Vi and Mom, Vivian. And, you know, Hillary proceeds to start talking about it and immediately gets shut down by Phil. That stood out to me. I was like, okay, something's coming and something's up, something off with the family. And there's something off with Viv. And then we start learning about this art stuff with Viv, and, you know, she's really passionate. And, you know, during this fundraiser, fucking Michael Erie, as we like to call him, because he's being creepy as fuck in this show.
Creepy. Mad creepy. like not sexy at all. In my opinion, not like the not like the machismo that we've come to expect. Real like creepoid vibes, like real don't hide your kids, hide your wife kind of vibes.
Yeah, bro. Like the way he talks about her art feels like sexual assault, bro.
Oh, for sure. Oh,
like
it feels like he's molesting her as we speak.
I want to scream me too. No disrespect, but I want to scream me too when I listen to this man talk to the Vivian about her art. I'm like, what is he doing? But we're getting this little, we're exploring Vivian and her art side and where she, her origin, where she comes from, and there's a little bit of pushback with her and Phil, but then Phil does a gesture that I can't tell if it's jealousy or if it's support. I don't know what to call it. What did you think about that thing when it's an auction for her painting? Let me set it up. It's an auction for paintings. It's like they call it a private. What is it? A silent auction.
It's a silent auction.
So no one can know who's bidding.
Absolutely. So Michael Erie, he is in there and he looks around to see who's watching, and then he puts a bid in on Vivian's painting that she had been working on. Yeah. And so then from there, Phil sees it, walks over, looks at it, and then puts his own bid down there. Now, I don't think it's hate. I don't think it's support.
Do you think it's jealousy?
I think it's an understanding that something ain't right with this dude. Like, it's not hate. Because
it's an overprotective thing.
Yeah, I think it's one of those. Where he goes, there's clearly something not right. Like if we get the vibe.
Yo, we get the vibe, bro. Vibe check. We passing the vibe check over here, bro.
Then Phil is definitely getting the vibe. And if Phil's getting the vibe, quiet as it's kept, Jeffrey already got the lowdown on your boy. Jeffrey already got the lowdown on your boy. It's coming.
That's so funny you say that.
So I'm looking at it. I don't think it's hate. I could be wrong. I don't think it's hate. I think he's just aware. You know what? Let me just make sure this mofo can't like make no claims. I don't want him to be able to make no claims. I don't want him to be able to say, yeah, I believe in you so much that I just had to have this painting erotically on my wall so that I can feel myself in the morning.
It's not even flattering, bro. Like I feel uncomfortable for her. Nah. Like I'm like, yo, this guy, like even the way he looks at her, he stands, he don't stand next to her, he stands on her, bro. Like he's like leaning on her, like
he's looking at her like she's food. And not like a snack. It ain't the
like a buffet.
He's looking at her like he's ready to just devour everything about her. It's unsettling,
bro. Yeah, man. It's really weird. It's creepy. By
the way, do you like this is one of the low-hanging fruits of the show, though, right? Because they made the dynamic of the woman having to give up her career in order to become a mother and support the man, as he ascends up his career. I didn't like that. I thought that was just too easy. Like I would have loved to have seen. And now, I mean, obviously we're playing Monday morning quarterback, but I would have loved to have seen Viv living and thriving in her career at the same time as Phil. She's a painter.
Yeah.
I mean, she's an artist. It's not like an artist can't also support a husband going through a campaign at the same time.
Well, here's the thing, and this is the part that, like I said, the relevancy where they're trying to make this thing fit in today's world. Nowadays, hobbies are the new careers. You can't just say I knit. You can't just say, yeah, I'm a painter. Because now doing that takes everything. To really be what you want to be, you gotta like go in, and she's had those opportunities. And
he was that. That's
what I mean.
He was the young up and comer,
but she wanted to be a mother, so I'm sure there were sacrifices in there that she would have had to make. but being a mother and taking care of her family came first at the time. So I get that, but to say
Normal
to combat
narrative.
what you're saying, like I hear what you're saying, but I like that there's push and pull. I like that there's heads bumping around that. Like she clearly isn't comfortable with her position. Even though it is what we're getting and what the narrative is saying, she's not comfortable, and we know this. Her friends aren't comfortable. Her friends aren't comfortable.
She
She's
hasn't been
not comfortable.
comfortable from the first episode.
Yeah, and I like that they're showing. I like that they're showing that because it sets up. Okay, maybe something more is going to happen. Maybe something is going to break. Break that thing that you're seeing. Yeah, I like the fact that it's not just cut and dry, and it's just like everyone's okay with it, and she's dealing with it, and they keep pushing that narrative. Even Angela, the stepmom, makes a statement at the fundraiser when she's like, mothers can have babies and not give up their dreams or careers or something. Like they made an effort to drop that line for a reason. You know what I mean? Like, so I expect to see some turn of events later on, but let's keep it moving with things that are happening around this fundraiser and Lisa and Vivian. We go back to Ashley because she's at this party too, and she's opened up to her big sister.
Wow.
About I saw this in episode 5. I knew this is where they were going to go with it. Am I cool with it? I'm cool with the situation. I'm not cool that we're getting it first season. This is just something that I think could have came
at that age in that first season without any real investment in her at all before episode 5.
She's barely in the show, bro.
Like how many times did we episode 5? You barely saw Ashley.
How many times do we see Ashley or Jeffrey?
Yeah, but I think Jeffrey, you see him when you need to see him, right? Like he's there for a job. He's there for a particular reason. You see him when you need to see him. With Ashley, she's part of this family, and you never see her except for like maybe a headshot at breakfast. That's it.
You barely see her, bro. I forget she's on the show sometimes. No. But they smack us in the face with this like real relevant topic subject with her character that no one saw coming. And I just feel like it's too soon.
You saw it coming in 5 when she felt hella uncomfortable with the guy throwing his arm around her shoulder.
Yeah, yep.
Clearly, she wasn't there for him. Like
and she asked for the friend who wasn't there.
Yep. Like that kind of thing. But like I just felt like this is supposed to be the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. We're developing way too many storylines right now.
Yes, too many, bro.
We have to understand how long the Fresh Prince was on air. We watched Will Smith go from like 21 in real life to 28, 29 in real life, 30. Like we saw a real legitimate like boy to man transformation for Will. So that many seasons allows you the opportunity to open up and talk more about Hillary and more about Ashley and more about Carlton. Like we got way too much of all these other people at one time.
I think a lot of that Ashley stuff and everybody else just would have been a lot easier to just swallow if they would have given it to us 2-3 seasons later. Because then by then we know the characters, we're comfortable with any changes. This is like taking something that you've grown up with, you've known. It's the remake reboot curse. When people remake or reboot something, the one thing that everybody's expecting is for you to fuck it up.
Yep.
Everyone's expecting that from when someone announces that there's going to be a remake or reboot of something that was dearly loved and beloved, and just they're waiting there like this.
This is what you were talking about. This is what you were talking about in the Batman trailer, where you have to put everything in because you need to check the boxes.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel like they're doing. They're trying to check all of these boxes. We want to have social media. We want to be able to LGBTQ. We want to talk about mental health and mental health awareness because Carlton's dealing with anxiety issues.
Oh my God.
We want to talk about We want to talk about new age drug use.
And it's not even
underage alcohol use. Like they're putting it all in one.
And they're not bad. They're not even bad storylines. They're not bad subject matter. It's all great for those characters, but it's too much too soon. And we're going to be saying that throughout this season. I know for a fact that we're going to be saying this. We're never going to not say this.
Now, here's the thing: it's set up. It's set up for 2 years because they're juniors, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we follow Will into college. We follow Carlton into college,
which is where he met Lisa.
Which is where he met Lisa, by the way. And no offense, but I've got to make this. She's just not dope enough. I'm sorry. Like
everyone keeps saying that.
Somebody's going to have to say it. She is not dope enough to be the I'm going to change my world for you girl. And it's not that she's not beautiful and that she's not like talent. Like it's not anything about her. It's just about her in that role.
So, but like
to be.
So let me like you don't think, and I'm just gonna play devil's advocate because I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to do with her what they're trying to do with Carlton. Carlton is so unlikable looking that I could not see him as Carlton. Even just based off of who they casted, I was just like, I don't want this guy to be Carlton. But he does such a phenomenal job in that character. Lisa has a dope personality. She is an around the way girl. Like
girl.
She is a straight up the definition. If for those of you who don't remember that LL Cool J song, she is the round the way girl. She is the girl that we would have fell in love with in the 90s.
But
in the 90s, like that's her.
The problem. Who was the roundaway girl Lisa in the original Fresh Prince?
I hear you, bro.
Come on, man.
I feel you, but tell me, 90s Gene, you 90s. If you saw this Lisa with those braids or with that,
for sure.
Come on,
that's AK all day. That's
what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But it still speaks to the level of. We got to match the energy and the level of dope to me. And I don't want to get bogged down on it, but these things matter when we're talking about cinematography, right? Mm-hmm. The level of dope has to the potency of the dope has to match the theme. If you're not giving us the level of dope we need, we're asking why people are getting addicted to it. So what is she bringing to the table that makes us addicted to her where she has a rich kid who can probably get chicks just because he's rich, and then a wildly charismatic, athletic, talented, intelligent man from that's coming in from another city into a place where you know how it goes. You've seen how we work when we go to colleges where people don't really know us back in the day. It was, no offense, it was easy shooting. It was easy work. And so, like, to me, that's the thing. It's like, what's the attraction here that makes everybody want to gravitate towards her so much? I can't figure it out. And I'm hoping that I see more that allows me to go, oh, that's what it is. That's what it is. I just haven't seen it yet.
I mean, I know what they're trying to do. I know
they're trying to make her a major player in this first.
They're trying to make us fall for the personality. I get it. I know what they're trying. The same way they want us to fall for Carlton's unlikable looks. They want us to not like him, and they're doing a damn good job by casting that guy. Let's talk about like we already said, like Ashley. You know, she gets smacked in the face with vulnerability. Yep. And gets her heart broken for the first time way too soon. Like that whole thing is just way too much too soon.
2 years from now, she could be 13, 14, right?
She's 12 in the show.
She's 12. So 12. All right. So 14, 15. Okay. Okay. I'm cool with that. 14, 15. We've been able to see her personality a little bit more, who she is, what she's like. We have none of that right now.
Maybe they're just testing the waters. Maybe she's not going to be gay. Maybe because it's wide open. It's left open. That happens. And remember, she said she hadn't ruled out boys. She hadn't completely ruled out boys. So maybe this, I don't know. I think they kind of
it's
just
too early to be dipping the toe in the.
I
I'm
think they
experimenting.
I think they planted the seed just to see how people would react, and based on how we react, Ashley will then either like boys or she will like both, or maybe like one of the. You know what I mean? I just think they were planning this.
For instance, I think this all. By the way, I think all of this works if this
Yeah,
lasts past 2 seasons.
yeah,
If this
yeah.
only goes a season 2, none of this is going to work.
Well,
It only works
yeah.
to get beyond that, because that's going to give us enough time to flesh all these things out.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to happen in 2 seasons of how many episodes? Like that's not going to roll. You're going to need more episodes to be able to flesh all this out. So if this goes into 3, 4, 5 seasons, I can see all of these things coming to fruition and making a really nice gumbo. But right now, this thing is missing some stuff.
So yeah, let's talk about, like, because we're still at the party, a lot going on at the party, and then we get into that breakout moment where Viv she snaps on Angela, which was a great moment.
We found out that Angela was hoeing.
Oh yeah,
I mean, that's what it is. She told on herself, by the way. How great was that?
Yeah, but
told on herself.
Because she's an idiot. Like, she wants everybody to pay attention to her so much. Yep. Yo, Lisa's dad, he didn't have that he didn't have her mouth under control, bro.
No,
because she just.
Hey, I need you to be quiet tonight.
Yeah, listen, she came through like, listen, I'm the winner. I got the baby. I got the man. I'm gonna let the whole motherfucking world know how we met.
I'm gonna let the whole world know that he was on me long before she got whatever. You know. That's crazy to me. Like, just told on herself.
So we got some people out there that got something to say about the show. Like my man here, my man King, he's saying 2 seasons max. I mean, for those who don't know, the show was picked up for 2 seasons just off pitch. So it's automatically getting 2 seasons. So a lot of people are saying that they think this is only going to last 2 seasons. I honestly think it's going to get a third. I think it might get a third. I do. I honestly think it's going to get a third, because as much as we are all having a lot of problems with it, people can't stop watching it.
Oh, no, it's enjoyable. It's enjoyable. I just have a lot of problems.
Viewership is important. The same way box office is important. You could have a shitty movie. Listen, if The Hitman's Bodyguard can get a sequel,
oh my God,
then that's all I'm going to say.
Oh my God.
The Hitman's Bodyguard got a sequel that went to the theater. It didn't go straight to streaming. Yeah. It went to the theater.
By the way, and I watched it.
I did too. I went to go see it too, but I'm a continue. Listen, if you want me to support your franchise, make one, and then come out with a sequel. It doesn't matter how bad it is, because I'm what you call a continuity junkie. I need to finish my stories. So if you start a story and it's shitty, but then somehow comes out with a sequel, I'm going to watch that sequel just to finish the story. That's just how I am. But after the whole Vivian thing, she smashed down on Angela, which was a beautiful moment. Even Lisa was cheering for joy. I felt good. I kind of felt good in the heart for Lisa, because I know that she was not feeling her stepmom at all. And then we cut to the moment when we could be reversing parts, but I'm pretty sure this was my favorite part in the episode, by the way. The moment where Carlton almost failed Lisa and Will came to his rescue.
Yes.
This right here was the moment where I was like, yo, this kid, not Will, I forget the kid's name who plays Carlton. He smashed it.
No, he's
like
real good at these things.
Because he's been angry. He's been real angry. That's the most the acting that we get out of him, is that he's very angry. But this one, he broke down, and you saw pain.
Is he British?
He's probably British. They're all.
Is he British?
There's not an American actor in the world. But everyone's British.
let's take 10 seconds, by the way, to shout out Nigeria. Like,
yes,
Nigerians are smashing it in athletics. They're smashing it in medicine. They're smashing it in sports. I'm sorry, in movies, like on the runway, like they're in everything. Shout out to Nigeria, man. Y'all are doing y'all thing. I am proud to have some type of little blood in me that comes back to that part of the world, man. Because y'all are smashing it. Shout out to Nigeria.
Yeah, that kid is he is a beast acting wise. Like I always say if you can be a good antagonist and make me not rock with you,
Yeah,
then you're doing your job.
Uncle Phil's a beast too, by the way.
Yeah, I've seen him in other things though. I just can't pinpoint what I've seen him in. I've seen all of them. I've even seen Jeffrey in things before. Jeffrey's done something recently that I saw, but I just think that he does such an amazing job. And that scene between him and Will really speaks to the Banks family that we are familiar with, because that's him, Israel Endesanya, that's his name. Oh no, Ollie Charlatan, that's Carlton, that's his name. Is he British? Do we know if he's British?
I'm doing some Googling right now as we speak, because I need to know. You know me, I need to know immediately. It looks like he's got a music background. So it makes me even more interested in this dude. But he is Nigerian. He's Nigerian American, by the way. So not British. Nigerian American actor.
So he's Nigerian straight. Yo, shout out to that, yo.
He is.
Because these days when they're acting like that, it's 9 times out of 10 they're British.
They're British. British. Yo, I don't even hold anybody. If like 9 times out of 10 these days, if they're super soulful in music, they probably British.
Yeah.
If they're killing it in acting, they probably British. I'm not even mad at them. Like, yo, do your thing, man. I appreciate it. I'm glad we got Craig David about the paint, but other than that, I rock with y'all.
Craig David.
I rock with y'all, baby.
Fill me in. Remember Craig David, son?
Get that corny shit out of here, bro.
That kid had the largest head. Oh my God.
The biggest head.
Pause. But that was a great that moment was really the moment that kind of set it's what made that episode my favorite episode of the 4 that I love, because I love 1, 2, and 3, and then 6. I'm not a fan of 5. 4 is forgettable. I think the only good thing about 4 is the shocking ending, which never gets alluded to ever again, which is the weirdest shit ever.
It's coming back at some point.
I hope so. Like,
they've got to tie all of these things up in order to move into season 2 without a whole bunch of like loose ends. They're going to have to find a way to tie all of these things up. So I think it's going to come back at some point. I think though also with that moment with Will and Carlton, I think that what we see is what we kind of always known, and this is back to the original Fresh Prince.
Mm-hmm.
Like Will just gets it. Mm-hmm. Will just gets it.
Well, like look where it comes from.
Yeah, for all of the the unrefinement of him, for the things that he still doesn't quite know, he gets it. Like this life, like how he jumped in on Uncle Phil when he was going down in flames at the fraternity party. The way he jumped in and he took the heat and got Uncle Phil to show why he was who he was. The way he steps in later on, where I think Aunt Viv is about to say something, because Viv apparently doesn't have a filter. So
she gets zero fucks, bro.
Whatever. She don't give a damn.
She is not built to be a politician's wife. I'll tell you that much.
Philly is coming out in her way too much. And that John right there, like she's gotta relax.
Yeah, she got.
He jumps in with her and keeps her from putting her foot in her mouth at one point in time.
There's the thing; they all ride for each other. You know what I mean? Like they all have their flaws, but this was that moment where I was like, the Banks family rides for the Banks family, bro. Yeah. And Will is a part of that. I feel like this episode is like Will is the glue. Because they were all a mess, a hot mess before Will ever got there. And I feel like
he doesn't know these people.
I know.
he doesn't really know these people at all. Like he don't rock with them like that. Like
I mean, he only has his childhood memories. That's it.
Exactly.
His childhood memories. That's it.
Early childhood memories, which means that because of whatever happened with Viv and his mom, they ain't rocked in a long time. So he don't get down with them. So for him to be able to jump in and kind of read the recipe and know what needs to be done in order to keep things kind of like moving in the right direction, that just tells us that Will gets it. And that's the one thing that we understood from the original Fresh Prince, is that Will just got it. Like he just understood certain things, this social landscape and how it works. Like he just gets that. Yeah. And he's been able to make it work. I like some of the illusions being put back to the old Fresh Prince, like Will being able to play the piano. Like
yes. They did that in 5.
But I like the idea that he plays the piano differently. Like Will, and I've read, and spoiler alert, like I've read the book Will, so I know how Will actually learned how to play the piano, and it was from church. And so like the fact that this Will in this new reboot kind of learned it the exact same way that the Philadelphia Will Smith learned it, it's dope. Like they're doing these little illusions back, and I enjoy those parts. But it's just too much of everything, man. I really wish they would focus in on Will. That's going to be the thing up there. Like, give me more Will. Give me less Batman. Give me more Will. Give me more Bruce Wayne and more Will.
Oh man, that's a whole nother topic right there, guys. Sidebar. Check out my review for the Batman, because I recently posted that the other day. And that's a sidebar. But before we get out of here, I need to overall know, like, where does this episode fall for you? I mean, it has some really great moments, a lot of dramatic spots, and a lot of I just love the way that it pulled the family back together, because it just, for so much, it was just all over the place for me. This one kind of brought things back together better than the last episode. And shout out to that ending credits song. Man, honesty, guys. Oh,
right.
Y'all hit me when y'all drop that, because that's my joint. When I heard that record come in, I was like, okay, I see what's going on. That was probably the best soundtrack since the opening episode. Like,
I was about to say, the opening episode soundtrack for me had me hooked. Like, it didn't even matter what you said. You didn't have to say anything. Yeah. Like, you come in with Freeway, you got me, bro. Sorry.
Bro. Then they dropped Meek. Then they dropped Meek, and like, come on, man. Like, they were killing it in the beginning. But where does this episode fall for you? We've seen 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Where does 6 fall for you, and what do you expect and hope that we're going to see in the future next week?
I would probably put it second.
Really? So which one?
Put it second. I like episode. I think it was episode 3, where you're dealing with Will starting to kind of understand his role. And then him being framed with the drugs, and Carlton. That was the first time I saw Carlton not cool with what his homeboy was doing. Like, yo, this ain't really how we get down. Like, he felt, you could tell in his eyes, he felt bad for Will when Will walked into the school, and Will trying to convince people that hey, I didn't do this. It made me feel like my own upbringing in times when I've been accused of things that I didn't do, and I just desperately wanted somebody to believe me. And the fact that they believed in him, listened to him, and it shout out to the fact that Phil's a lawyer and looked at this thing in a legal manner. But then when they went in there to the principal and sunned the principal, because the principal hadn't even looked at the tapes, was like, yo, you ain't even look at the tapes. What's wrong with you? You know, like,
that was hilarious, bro.
Yo,
that was hilarious.
And so, like, for me, 3 was one where I was like, okay, this is going to be something. They're going to find some common ground. And I think I would put 6 right up underneath it, because I felt like there were too many things introduced in 6. So it didn't allow me to get that cathartic relationship that I wanted. Like, I should have been all invested in Lisa. This should have been Lisa's entire episode, if that's what they wanted to do.
And nothing else,
And nothing else. It shouldn't have been Creepy McCreeperson on the side. It shouldn't have been,
Michael Erie Michael
Yeah,
Erie.
Michael Erie, or it shouldn't have been Ashley dipping her toes in the water.
Yeah.
You know, it shouldn't have been Hillary dealing with the influencer stuff. It
Ah.
should have been Lisa and her dynamic with her father and her mother-in-law and Aunt Vi, how that plays into it.
Mhm.
That should have all been in there. And I think it would have really made us more compassionate for what was going on with Lisa, but also made us more compassionate and more
Yo.
empathetic towards Carlton at the end, because you would have saw him really go through it right there.
Yo, I don't want to cut you off real quick, but I got to give a huge shout out to my homeboy, King Gore. I see you, bro. He just gave me a super chat for $10. I appreciate the love, brother. Guys, listen, we talk about this stuff because we love to talk about this stuff with you all, and it's always an honor and a privilege to be able to see people support. I really appreciate that, my G. Salute to you. Finish your thought, brother. Like I'm with you.
No,
Like
no, that was it. That was what I said. I think that would have brought out the vulnerability in Carlton even more, to the point where we'd have been like, yo, this dude's just trying to figure it out. Like, he's got some demons and he's got some things he's trying to just figure it out. But we didn't get that because we were trying to digest all of these other storylines that were being thrown at us at one time. And I think if it would have been more minimal and just focused on one storyline, I think it would have rung better, and it would have probably shot up to my number one episode for me.
So for me, I'm gonna say 1, 2, 3, 6. 6 was a bounce back for me because 4 was there, 5 was a fucking hot mess.
5
but
was
6
was ridiculous.
6 brings it back for me. And like I said, I don't want to give away anything else in the future, but I can't wait to talk about episode 7 with you guys. And I definitely cannot wait to talk about 8. You got to come back, my brother. You got to come back.
Yo, I do. We do this. This is what we do.
Because this is
what we do.
Yeah, man. This is no disrespect to my man Mayhem. My man Mayhem, he's always got my back, and he's always talking that talk with me. But we definitely gotta have you back, and maybe I have both of y'all on.
You normally would have the water. I would have a little something with some alcohol in it.
We might have to do that. We might have to do it. We have to like set the mood. We're gonna have to. Y'all out there, y'all got to pass the vibe check when we come back next time, because we might be a red light in the background next time, and we're gonna have some music in the background and everything. No, 8 is not the finale. There will be 10 episodes, and I'm trying to plan something special for the finale. Maybe do a live reaction of the finale. I'm not sure. You guys, let me know what you want to do. But we definitely gonna do it big and do it right for everybody, because although the show has problems, it's a cultural phenomenon, a cultural experience that we will never forget, because the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is something that we all grew up on for a very long time, and something that we all just brought families together, man. Like I remember the night it premiered, bro. Like I remember that night it premiered. I watched the first episode the night it premiered because that was a big moment in hip hop, period. Like that was like a pivotal moment in hip hop to be on a national television station. And yeah, man, I can't wait to see how this thing wraps up. But yeah, guys, that's all I got to say. I really hope that you all enjoyed this. I appreciate every single one of you who came in and rocked with us tonight. And come back next week, every single Thursday, 9:15 p.m. Live spoiler discussion of Bel-Air from Peacock. We are going to be talking and breaking things down. The night before, well, the day before, I should say, Wednesdays, I dropped my non-spoiler review just to give you guys a taste of what to expect before you see the show. And then that Thursday, 9:15 p.m. Eastern, we do the live spoiler discussion. Yo, I want to thank you, my man. Gene, what are you going by? Am I calling you AK? Are we still AK, or are you Gene Clemens now? Listen, all cleaned up.
I'm on everything social at Gene Clemens. You know, at some point you got to know who you rocking with, and so you know when we get on our grown man stuff, sometimes we got to leave leave a little bit of the old things behind. But it's AK still all day. But
Right.
if you want to find me on social, you can find me at Gene Clemens at anything social media related. I appreciate any follows y'all want to do. And if you're into sports and talking sports, anything like that, y'all holler at me. And wait until I get this guy to come on with me so we can talk about our top 10 all-time sports movies. It's gonna be legendary. It's gonna be legendary.
As soon as you said that, I already have one pop in my head. So
yeah.
it's legendary. And it's gonna be like something that you all expect. Like, listen, I'm a different kind of guy. I'm not gonna be like the program. I'm not gonna be like trust me. It's gonna be some shit that's left field. Y'all gonna be like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But guys, as always, it's a pleasure. Like, comment, share. Make sure you subscribe. And for movie news, television news, and pop culture, guys, make sure you check out my website, wearecritics.com. And I will talk to you all later. Peace.